This is the new EA1000 format, and SIMGOT released something that's finally not Harman. And on top of that, it's also pretty good. The low end texture is, and I don't use this word often, immaculate. The high quality dynamic driver combined with a passive radiator results in very resolving bass notes, clean, fast, but you can also hear the physicality of the air being pushed and small micro nuances like the decay and reverb from the bass guitar strings. Rhythmic section is well separated but also doesn't float off or feel light in its note weight. It's not a bass headset, so for those who want more meaty mid bass and warmness, you probably look somewhere else. But out of all the IEMs under and around $200 or even $300 and plus, the Fremant's got one of the best bass textures that I have heard so far. Mid-range timbre is likewise just as neutral and clean. Vocals aren't husky and instruments aren't overemphasized. They're not weak and light like most of the Harman and planar sets. Piano keys and flutes, for example, sound very realistic, very sweet, clear, as you can hear the air and thump pressing down on the piano keys, and you can also hear the lingering reverb afterwards from the keys as well as from the flutes and other woodwinds. Female vocals especially are a standout on the formats. They're very sweet, sparkly, airy, but still weighted and extended and fully open. It's not the fullest and most powerful or forward sounding like the RS5. However, it's the best for female vocals before the Studio 4s and the original Oracles, and even then it's probably a toss-up depending on the song. Male vocals, on the other hand, are clear with ballads, indie, and acoustics, but they can get buried by the extra upper mids and treble energy from electric guitars, cymbals, or synths in busier rock and metal and alternative tracks. I personally found the format to sound the best with slower genres like ballads, indie, acoustics, blue, jazz, since the boosted upper mids and triple can get piercing on EDM, K-pop, J-pop, and some of even the more lively and energetic rock and metal tracks. This doesn't mean the treble isn't high quality. It is. Cymbal crashes are satisfying and airy. They're very clean, resolving, and have that reverb effect to them. No weird timbre issues. And as scary as the graph looks, the treble is actually very well tuned, pretty smooth overall. I personally didn't have an issue with it at mid volumes, but you can't crank these up too much, especially with K-pop and those very energetic genres, as they're gonna start getting piercing and fatiguing. I do want to point out that I did find myself readjusting the volumes with songs that have more dynamic contrast in the track. For example, Runaway With Me by Carly Rae Jepsen starts off slow and quiet, but there's a switch in the chorus where the energy level is suddenly boosted way up. And because of this extra upper mids and treble and this sudden shift, the format comes off as a bit too loud and fatiguing. This leaves you in a dilemma where you either keep the volume lower, resulting in the verse being less audible, or you're constantly readjusting between the verse and chorus for the most engagement. So although the timbre, low end, and mid range is top tier even at $300, the treble does become an issue depending on the song. Again, I think it works very well with slower and less energetic genres, but just make sure your library aligns with the tuning and you're not blasting your ears out. Compared to the Nova, the format, in my opinion, wipes the floor with it in terms of low-end texture, bass quality, mid-range clarity, and just the overall timbre, as well as just being more musical and enjoyable in general. Technical performance-wise, both are very similar with the resolution going to the format. However, the Nova is smoother overall and the better all-rounder, handling energetic tracks better and being less fatiguing, although it is kind of boring in my opinion because it lacks the bass as well as being Harman. Instead, you can think of the format as a more V-shaped Blessing 3 with better bass texture and overall more natural timbre. Technical performance wise, I would say they're pretty even. It's just that the treble on the format is more exciting, so it gives off this more sharp and resolution presentation, but overall pretty even. I would definitely still take the format because the low end is just miles better, way better bass texture, and the treble is easily fixed if you get the tuning filters from SIMGOT. I personally like the black nozzles the best without any filters on the format. I think it works very well with slower songs, but for more energetic tracks, the gold nozzle with the 500 mesh filter does the job. And as for the quintet, they're actually very similar in terms of detail retrieval. As you can tell from the graph, the format does graph a lot brighter than the quintet, but the quintet does have its metallic timbre. So overall, I would still take the Fermat for its more natural presentation, as well as the better bass texture and quality in general. Versus the EM6L, again, the Fermat is an upgrade all around in terms of bass texture, overall timbre, resolution. However, the extra treble energy is going to be an issue, whereas the EM6L is going to be smoother and less fatiguing. And the Nova would be the smoothest out of the three. Same story with the Fudu and the Performer 5, just better all across the board on the Fermat in terms of, resolution, bass texture, mid-range, and the other two is going to be better in terms of the overall treble smoothness, so less fatiguing. And when you compare it to the Heyday, the Fermat has much better timbre again and better bass texture, but with similar technical performance. So I would personally take the Fermat out of all of them, and if I'm listening to energetic tracks, I would use the Go nozzle with a 500 Misch filter. And for those wondering if the EA1000 is a direct upgrade to the EA500, I would say it is. Even though the bass is less emphasized because of the extra upper mids energy, it is overall just better bass texture, higher quality drivers, more resolving, and better tuned in my opinion. Likewise, the Fermat can also be an upgrade to the Alina SC with better bass quality, faster, cleaner bass, and more resolving overall, with a similarly tuned sound signature. So although the Fermat isn't perfect by any means, it is the most unique in the price category since everything else just sounds Harman, and you don't get a lot of good bass texture and quality in that price range for some reason. So the Fermat addresses both of those issues, better bass texture as well as not Harman, as well as sounding very natural in its timbre. But yeah, I'll definitely compare it to the Chopin when that comes in, as well as the QE's Melody and Forteza. But for now, I highly recommend these. They're a very unique anomaly out of all the Harman clones in the price category right now and in the market in general. So with all that said, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see everyone in the next one.